sounds weird that your mid laner would impact your vision, but again, TBQ, one of the weaker points of LGD, really relies on GODV to help cover his flanks and protect his jungle.
Yep, and he's been strong, and he's going to take a strong pick off the board here. Viktor will be the choice there for LGD, and as far as mid laners go, everyone's still banning Ezreal. I feel like their champion's still quite good, but Viktor is just so good as Clearlove snaps himself off Rek'Sai.
And again, we are on 5.12, so the mid lane items have not been adjusted quite yet. No surprise to see the Rek'Sai taken away simply because there's not a lot of junglers left and available. I would assume that TBQ would fall back to Sejuani at this point.
Yeah, you think so as well. As Corki actually going to be the pickup there for EDG, taking a very early priority on that. But that man there, Deft, is not too bad at the old Corki.
I'm gonna laugh really hard if Acorn gets to play Shyvana and then Flame has to play Rumble.
Maybe.
I think it's a Shyvana jungle.
Could be a preview patch to come. Yeah, Shyvana's been at least all over solo queue in the jungle, but we'll see what LGD want to do here with their picks. Shen would not surprise me at all. That's been one of the go-to top lane picks recently. We've seen a lot of it today. And don't forget, Ezreal's still available as well. Pawn was playing it in Demacia Cup.
Yep.
But it's not been that popular, at least in the latter half of
Yeah,
today.
they really haven't touched Runeglaive. I think we've seen it on the Nidalee jungles, although Elise getting locked in for TBQ.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 junglers banned in this pool, and Rek'Sai was taken away by EDG, so has to go to something else. Can't go to the Elise in, going to go to Elise instead, and Acorn's going to go ahead and get Shen.
We talked about kind of some of the changes that Shen has seen on the most recent patch. Again, his taunt cooldown I think is the biggest one. There's less energy required, so you can get more rotations of your taunt through in these late game team fights. Likewise, his passive has been adjusted to make his lane phase a little bit more desirable.
Yeah, and Shen is a strong pick. He brings a lot to a team comp, split pushing potential, big ultimate, good team fighter there as well with the changes to his taunt. So all around pretty good guy. Well, that's Koro's back there again, and a Braum there for Mako. Excited to see Mako on a champion like Braum, but seen, I guess, some quality of life changes recently. But I had one rule in the spring split of the LPL.
No.
Don't give Koro was the rule, and that's what he's got in this game.
Yep. He has an absurd win rate. I think the last time I checked it, which was a few weeks ago, it was something like 17-3. So when you listen to the Chinese casters actually do the LPL, the only words that you can point out is ban Gnar. Ban Gnar.
Well, it makes a lot of sense here as LGD scrambling to put together their last few picks. People are actually going to get Alistar here quite late, and they were considering Ezreal, but instead they'll go for the Sivir, which makes a lot of sense. LGD put together a fine comp here in game 1.
I actually really like the fact that Braum was picked, though, as opposed to Alistar. I think Braum's actually a great matchup to Ali, because when Ali goes in on the AD carrier or tries to set up for his big wombo combo with his WQ, Braum can just easily reposition himself onto his AD carrier or help stall out the enemy AD carry. So I think that there's a lot of counterplay available.
Yeah, Braum, again, kind of got some, I guess, buffs in like the fact that his
Q.
Yeah, his Q is basically reverted to how it used to be. So just a much better support to play, a little bit stronger in the early game, just all around always a good guy. But Pawn gets his pick of mid laners here, and he's already got a smite. Ezreal's locked in. That's going to be Runeglaive Ezreal once again.
Are we finally going to see the Runeglaive Ezreal?
Seen it once today,
I think Xiao who played it in the first game. Yeah.
But Pawn been playing a lot of this in the Demacia Cup, and he's always good, I feel like, in whatever champion he wants to pick, and he's got a very deep champion pool, but I like this a lot.
The aspect though that I really want to the aspect though that I really want to touch on is we talked about, you know, kind of the difference between Baimi and Clearlove's relationship versus Pawn and Clearlove, and how when Pawn is on the starting roster for EDG, it allows Clearlove another gank option. If you're playing Runeglaive Ezreal with Smite, you've already forfeited your matchup. No matter what. Just because in you, the summoner spells alone, we see GODV on the other side taking the Ignite versus the Smite, you're not going to win that trade. Likewise, you're going to itemize into Trailblazer before you go into your Runeglaive just to keep up and to farm. So that completely cuts off any sort of option or pressure that Clearlove can force onto that mid lane. Yeah,
and instead just has to wait around. But if Pawn gets going, it's going to be real good there, and this will be a mid lane matchup to watch here. GODV on Viktor versus the Ezreal. It's kind of honestly the two, on this patch especially, just the 2 best mid laners, or 2 of the most popular at least.
Yeah. I would say Cool, GODV, and Pawn are probably the top 3 mid laners in the LPL.
Oh, I meant champions. But yes, they're also very good players. So I agree there also.
Forget those guys.
Forget those guys. I don't care about the champions. They're all changing next patch anyway. Please.
Is it 5.13 yet?
No, it's not. Ringglaive Ezreal Winter is still here.
Let's get on the rift. Please?
Please? Not just yet. You need to calm down.
I'm excited.
You're far too excited. I mean, it's definitely a lot to be excited about in this game.
It is the clash of the titans. The standings don't reflect that, but do not be fooled. Xiaogu's manager came out after their disappointing loss to LGD in the Demacia Cup and said, LGD, they're a strong team. You have to watch out for them.
Well, we'll see how much I have to watch out. Let's get on the rift for game number 1. And welcome to a pause. There's an unfortunate start to our game here, but LG versus EDG will be underway soon.
League of Pauses.
League of Pauses.
Let's look at Imp.
Yeah, looking handsome. New haircut, new hair color. Looking very serious.
Looks like he took after my haircut initially, the bowl cut.
The bowl cut.
He's got it tilted to the side.
I'm going to have to revise my power rankings for hair, actually, in the LPL after today.
You have a power rankings for hair?
Oh, yeah.
Who's at number 1?
Is that a real question? Of course.
Doinby?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay.
Xiaogu.
I was going to say...
mainly like by team, but like we can do it by player as well. It's definitely Doinby. He's number 1. Cool was way down the bottom. That's where it started. Although I think Cool's risen a few ranks recently.
I think he's cut his hair fairly recently as well.
He's like at least like trimmed it back. It was an overgrown hedge for many weeks. I was really disappointed.
Let's talk about that Ezreal.
Yep.
So the discussion that we were having before, you know, taking the Ringglaive Ezreal. So obviously Ringglaive is going to empower Ezreal because not only does it get his Sheen, it's very important to Ezreal's kit, getting that Sheen proc off of the Mystic Shot into the auto attack. But effectively it gives massive amount of poke, I think like 800 damage off of the Q because it's going to translate into magic damage. But more importantly, free wave clear that Ezreal just doesn't have.
No, and we're going to get into game Pawn. Doesn't quite get the poke down onto PYL, but they at least know he's in the area. No wards in that spot just yet. Here, LGD trying to get in and check for a couple of spots, but PYL going to finally put the ward down. They will get it.
Oh.
Def gets some gold, and PYL eats a chair.
That's game over. He's already got a CS.
Def, he's so good at getting CS leads.
He's got beyond perfect CS right now.
Yes. Yes, he does.
It's a fact.
It is a fact.
Let's talk about these team compositions. So the thing that we haven't pointed out yet is TBQ playing the Elise. Elise was changed on 5.12.
Yep.
Jungle buffed up a little bit, has more power there through her W and her little spider lane, so should be healthier. We'll see if he chooses to be an aggressive Elise or more of a defensive option and what kind of build path he's really going to look at. So typically in the past, Elise prioritized magic penetration because her AP scaling isn't the best.
Yep. Magic penetration.
Magic penetration.
But yeah, I mean, lots of tanky builds there as well, kind of after those changes. So the other one as well, of course, on this patch is that...
Did he start W?
You get extra damage Pawn.
That's cute.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, just so he can help trade against Viktor with the laser, so obviously the W being able to shoot through the creeps as he punched GODV in the face real quick right there.
Very cute there is Mako already having a walk. Clearlove is level 2. I think he just got his grump. They're invading onto the red that they warded. GODV really can't do anything. Neither can Pawn, but that's just fine here for Roman Rek'Sai.
Yeah, they're trying to... Oh,
whoa,
wow.
Knockout comes in there. TBQ already taking damage, and he's dead as Koro comes in as well to get the red buff.
So the idea is that LGD did the lane swap, and they were trying to take their buff as quickly as possible before EDG could react and then move on to the strong side of the map. But again, against a Rek'Sai has one of the fastest jungle clears available, as well as the Trimmer sense, to just walk into the enemy jungle and find the first blood.
And GODV barely misses getting the chair there by Braum, as that Winter's Bite doesn't quite connect, but Mako at least shows a bit of love there to the mid lane. Might be coming back, actually. It's Clearlove on Koro.
Acorn, why are you here?
Acorn. He's between two towers. He's not close enough to do any aggro. Level 1 Shen.
He's dead.
Hyper gonna proc. Koro's coming in. Taunt does land. That's good damage there. Clearlove is going to die. Acorn gets the trade.
Best case scenario right there. Fantastic likewise because he killed the red buff on Clearlove. We'll see if TBQ, there we go, pings the enemy red buff, so he should be running, sprinting as fast as he can over to that side of the jungle.
Yep, Clearlove going to go over there now as well, but like you said, Pawn not going to offer too much help there as Acorn might get redived here.
Way too dangerous.
Koro's not left the bottom lane, and Imp is not going super hardcore in that push in the top lane. So EDG punishing nicely here.
Here we go though, LGD getting their footing back. See if TBQ's able... No, he's going to pull out.
I think Clearlove has Smite.
GODV is doing a good job as well, applying pressure onto Pawn to make sure that Pawn can't get over there and help him, but if GODV doesn't rotate...
Yeah, this is a weird 1v1, but I think Cluelove has it right now. Did lose the red buff.
Yeah, he's just stalling out. So again, GODV's just locking down Pawn to make sure that Ezreal can't walk over there, and they're stalling out long enough for PYL to get over there and assist him. But Koro is sprinting.
Koro's actually back. He's made his way back here at level 2. So an interesting 2v2. Smite back for both junglers there as well. Who's going to get it? Smite goes down, I think. No,
Cluelove got it.
Did get the buff back. And now TBQ has to get up, but GODV's coming in. Imp also going to collapse. There's a Spiderling needs an auto attack. Good poke though from Pawn. Koro gets the hyper proc there from the boomerang. And TBQ level 2 has to keep running. Koro gets another speed up there, this time from PYL. 1v3 the now pushing them out as Mako's up here as well.
LGD attempting.
So is Deft. What is this?
The lane swap, it's fine.
Okay.
Lane swap, it's cool. LGD attempting to get their footing back and in control of the jungle after the first blood goes down for TBQ, but unfortunately just not able to outmaneuver EDG, doing a great job pulling their resources appropriately. And good smite from Cluelove.
Really, yeah, great smite from Cluelove, but good to see EDG taking it to LGD. We talked about it time and time again.
The macro movement.
LGD are one of the best teams, if not the best team in the LPL at playing a lane swap, and EDG are outplaying him in the lane swap early on.
Well, to be very fair, TBQ made a massive error in the initial trying to start from the bottom side of the jungle when he didn't have numbers advantage.
Mako just casually here in the mid lane. That's a pretty good amount of damage. Gonna look for the dive here. GODV does not have a defensive summoner, and Pawn flash Qs for the kill.
We talked about how there was no gank potential with a smite Ezreal, but if you bring 3 people, again, skirmishes.
Yeah, it's just Pawn, Mako, and Cluelove teaming up again.
And Mako really showed this in the Demacia Cup when he kind of debuted pulling out Braum again. So again, 5.12, Braum did get some changes to his Q. Now, Braum kind of suffers in the lane phase. He uses a lot of his effectiveness, but his initial level 1, especially on his roam potential, is so potent because of the concussive blows and that ranged slow into the stun, into the bonus magic damage, which pretty much just punished GODV there.
Yeah, you can see Viktor nowhere really to go, and Viktor is quite immobile as a champion just in general, so can be vulnerable to those sorts of ganks. EDG doing work here in the early game, have about 700 gold in the league, which isn't massive, but they are playing LGD around their map, and that's LGD's game normally.
Yeah, but this is telegraphed effectively. This is exactly what EDG did in Demacia Cup when Mako picked up Braum. It was an initial early game roam where for the first, 6-7 minutes, he was just running around the map, ganking lanes.
And that's one of Mako's specialties. We talk about PYL being a good roamer. He's great when it comes to that, but PYL's been doing a lot less roaming, I feel like, in general, and Mako, he's always been a good roamer.
Well, the issue is that PYL's been around, but his jungler got first blooded, and so he was already behind. So yeah, PYL's there for his team, trying to be present, as they're contesting the enemy red buff, but TBQ's already failed.
Yeah, Koro and Acorn gonna meet once again. Koro gets his back cancelled as Acorn gets a bit aggressive, but top lane is fairly even in CS. I like the double Doran's Blade though from Koro. Keeping it cute, nice and aggressive early on in the lane.
When you're never going to lose lane ever, double Doran's.
Yep, double Doran's here for Koro.
Speaking of not losing lane, so typically there's been a couple different variations of mid lane Runeglaive Ezreal. Looks like Pawn is going to prioritize the Sheen first because he had enough gold for it as opposed to the Trailblazer, so he is looking to put some fight up in this lane before he looks for his farm.
Like you already explained, Koro actually goes Mega Nars, PYL gets aggressive, so pretty ambitious kill to try and go for here for LGD, but like you said, Runeglaive Ezreal just takes a while to get going. You need your first few items, and Sheen is simply the best of all your bad choices as far as early itemization goes. It's the one thing item actually does something. We see this a lot with Smite laners.
Actually gives you battle stats,
yeah, exactly, which is what Pawn wants, and got it nice and early thanks to Mako a sweet gank.
Completely turned the dynamic of this mid lane, upside down. This isn't typically what we'd be expecting, especially because without the Runeglaive passive, Viktor should have the push potential. But again, it all goes back to what do EDG excel at? It's these skirmishes when they have Pawn. And immediately you saw the 3-man roam into the mid lane.
That damage is disgusting as well as GODV. Going to get forced up there by Pawn, who did have blue buff in and amongst that all as well, remember. So plenty of early leads. I think Cluelove just passed that one off early. Oh, swap back once again here in the bottom lane as PYL. Good double pulverize there. TBQ's down as well. Tower's getting low. LGD are going to try and go for the all-in. Depth has to be careful. Stand United used there as well. PYL will die there. They'll get the trade, but the teleport's going to be too late. Koro can't join in.
Hero minion right there. grabbed the repel from TBQ. So again, the big thing about Elise, oh my god, Pawn. The big thing about, and obviously he's going aggressive because he sees that all of LGD's resources are bottom. Big thing about Elise is she used to be super good at tower diving, obviously with the repel, being able to juggle aggro. Unfortunately, he missed his cocoon there on a creep and cost PYL his life.
Yeah, Elise gets the trade there, but LGD get the kill, the tower and the dragon. So, I'm going to try and steal it.
That was cool.
Oh, we got it!
Oh my god!
Pawn managed to take the dragon away. Complete. A poor observer. Stunned by the brilliant play. Pawn's just got everything this game. Runeglave's completed at 9.5 minutes. He's getting everything he wants on a carry champion, nonetheless. Like, we don't see Pawn play hard carry champions that often, but Runglave Ezreal on this patch is pretty hard as far as carry potential goes.
My favorite part about that was just Corky cruising down all the way.
Hey man, right in, trying to get some tower damage here as Deft and Mako want to make a bit of a difference, but can't get it done. Fade's though done for Deft here. They're going to try and answer for this turret.
I'm cool, I'm good. So Pawn taking the steal off of that dragon, that's obviously massive right there. Coming up huge already with this Ezreal. He's doing a good job. Watch every time that he throws the ultimate. Faker does this obviously as well. Any competent Ezreal player will. Tips for solo queue, you step back into Fog of War, you make sure that you're not throwing it on the creep wave because you don't want to give vision of the channelable ult.
Yep, you want to do max damage with it as well.
Exactly.
So Pawn, seasoned AP Ezreal player. I'm sure he's got about 200 games played at this point. That man spams champions, let me tell you. He's been playing a lot of the champ recently. Looking good so far here. Probably looking for Luden's Echo next. That was the one thing on this patch that's different to your current live. Is that build is still really silly.
And here we go, though. This is how Runglave Ezreal works. So obviously with the Trailblazer, he gets the AoE Smite. And again, walking into Fog of War, hiding around corners before throwing his ultimate. It gives Ezreal wave clear and AoE damage on his Mystic Shot. It's pretty absurd, as well as the Sheen proc.
Yeah, so you just get everything you need here. Q now's magic damage, everything's looking good, and Pawn looking okay there as Mako actually pops the ulti onto PYL. Also does have his ulti, is now going to use it as Cocoon. Will miss there for TBQ. Clearlove though going to get initiated on Imp, doing a decent amount of damage as Def around the side looking for a flank. TBQ repels down. He's found Mako though. They're trying to chase out Clearlove, but they don't have quite enough damage. TBQ will finally get it, but Pawn's joined in as well. GODV also in the mix as Mako's gotten a little too low. Pawn trying to dash around a corner, but he's not quite safe enough, and Pawn low on mana, needs his blue buff. Oh, that was so clever. He got mana back from the Runglave, but it wasn't enough. Actually, it might be as they go back in. PYL though going to get Stand United on top of him. Deft needs to keep cutting around. Still doing decent damage, but Acorn's going to lock him up. Korra can't teleport in, and that might be all she wrote. Deft still getting chased down. GODV going to flash in, and he'll get the kill.
GODV with the flash over the wall into the laser. Beautiful play from LGD. We talked about how EDG, they're the skirmishing team. They got it going early for them. What do LGD do? They group up as 5, invade the blue buff, and take the lead.
Yeah, and Pawn going to come back in now, clear out some of the waves, smite down the creeps and keep them out from under the tower. Korra trying to get the top tower now as well to equalize the goal, but right now LGD leading by about 1,000 gold. The Imp going to make it a little closer as Clearlove gets a kill, 1v1.
Hello, Mako? I just want an assist, guys.
Nope, didn't get one. Clearlove got the kill there instead.
He almost sniped that.
He did. He was trying for it as Pawn gets blue buff. We'll thank his jungler for that and go back on his merry way to lane. And with that kill, LGD now only 600 gold ahead.
Okay, so let's kind of reestablish where are we at, what is going to be the most important objective. Tower advantage to LGD, Dragon advantage to EDG. The most important tower left up on the map for LGD is going to be that mid-tier tower, which is why you see PYL just casually strolling through looking for the pulverize.
Yeah, this is Alistar's real strength now. He's fine roaming in the early levels, but level 6 can just tower dive with impunity.
And more importantly, this is LGD's real strength. The shot caller, the captain of the team, PYL, micromanaging very much in a Reaper style. As soon as he's unlocked and allowed to get involved with the team, LGD make things happen. Yeah,
we'll see what PYL can make happen in this game as Pawn has to stick to mid lane for a little while longer. He's got his first big item, but needs to get to the Ludens or the Lichbane or the Death Cap, whatever he wants to go with next. But does still need some time to farm up, and so does GODV. But right now, mid lane is just sitting pretty, farming away.
GODV doing his best to try to block with these creep waves and avoid the massive AoE that the Runglave is supplying. That said, with the upgraded Hex Core, as well as some bonus AP from his Fiendish Codex and level 10, he's able to clear that wave in one fell laser.
So lots of wave clear walls in the mid lane. Probably expecting has to stay up for a while as Koro, Hexdrinker in the top lane actually, with a Ruby Crystal there as well. Expecting to get a bit scrappy maybe as Acorn. He's just been farming up a Storm now. Behind actually on Koro by quite a lot, but already has that quick Sunfire cape.
And that's very important that he itemizes Sunfire first, just because it's not a very cost-efficient item for the stats that you get to itemize at late game. Typically you'd want more of like a Frozen Heart or a Randuin's, particularly for Shen in that case, because he's not going to get a ton off of the mana, obviously. But likewise, it empowers the split push potential from Shen.
Yep, so we'll see how much of the Acorn can do in the game. As Deft has his Sheen and his Phage, but looking to go back and probably go for that Trinity Force, which I imagine will have the gold for soon, if not right now. GODV actually comes down into the bottom lane, though. Might be looking for a roam, but instead covering it for Imp, who is
in the mid lane. Yep, so it's the classic swap. What's the most important? Tower. Obviously, you don't want to keep your mid laner and your AD carry in the same lane because you don't want them contesting for farm. You want to make sure that everyone gets the maximum efficiency of gold intake for this lane phase, which is why Imp has now taken over the mid lane because he wants the tower.
And he can't go top lane because that's an island, so let's swap bottom lane there quickly on instead as Koro. We're going to go back now. He is Mega now, so he'll be a little bit tired as the dragon comes back, but he'll be ready to go as Imp. Got a tough Infinity Edge already. Yeah,
and again, we talked about how Name, you know, in the previous set itemized into the individual pieces for flat AD simply because the dragon had already been taken and there was no 5v5 arena set up that you wouldn't need the battle stats of the crit that the Infinity Edge would prepare. But the reason why Imp looks for the Infinity Edge is, lo and behold, the dragon is up.
And another ulti there from Pawn's going to keep the wave dead as LGD are trying very hard to brute force down the mid lane turret, but AP Ezreal, kind of annoying. Runeglaive Ezreal, extra annoying to try and take the turret against.
More importantly though, LGD with Imp itemizing into the Infinity Edge, it tells me that they want to fight for this dragon.
Well, it's going to be a tricky fight here. Def's got his Trinity Force completed. GODV going to get his blue. Has Nomicon is Acorn
with the Sunfire. But again, the fact that Acorn, you know, attempting to pass over the blue, leashing it for him, while TBQ cannot leave the bottom side of the map, you know, can't go over with GODV to assist him because they want to fight for this dragon. So their plan is set.
Well, EDG just want to fight by the looks of things. Everyone's grouped together. Koro's got a nice rage stack build as Imp. Just missing the shield there on the Prey Seeker, but not going to get himself killed just yet.
Lag.
Got a lag there for him, possibly.
Just lag.
EDG going to start this dragon up now.
Okay, here comes the ping. It's all going to be about the Stand United and how On the Hunt is used and if Viktor can get in position or they're just going to be late.
Dragon's already dead. They've got two smites. Don't forget as PYL goes in. Massive 3-man knocker, but Pawn just going to kite back. Maker with a good ulti as Koro's come around the side with the flank. TBQ's gotten the kill. Rek'Sai, though, is going to take out Viktor, and now Koro going to gnaw them away, but he needs to buy more time. Flashes in for Imp. Def going to come in. We'll take him out. Acorn gets the taunt, though, but TBQ getting chased down. PYL will die to Pawn. And right now, LGD getting run over in this team fight. Already 3 for 2. Acorn gonna make it 4. EDG get everything they want.
And the biggest issue is the fact that GODV went down way too early in that fight. Set up a nice Chaos Storm in the backline to zone Corki and Ezreal out for a little bit. But both those AD carries are so mobile, they're able to quickly get around the terrain and back into the fight.
And that's what happened. Koro picked a good spot for the flank, managed his rage exceptionally well, and didn't even need the team fight Nara ultimate that time, just had the disengage one.
And with that team fight, it'll not only mean the dragon because LGD just didn't pull the trigger quickly enough, but also the mid-tier tower. EDG starting to take full control.
Yeah, you can see equal in towers now, but EDG have the important mid lane turret. 2 dragons up, and all of a sudden, about 2,000 gold up for EDG, who were behind starting this game. LGD had a gold lead at one point, but right now momentum and lead all in EDG's court.
We'll see if they're able to get a counter push going onto the mid lane. Should be fairly difficult, especially because never mind, Pawn doesn't have the ultimate available.
Nope, but he's got a Ludens. We're going to watch this again.
So, fantastic engage from PYL. That said a little bit late. A nice Chaos Storm, but GODV just gets obliterated here. Flashing forward, sets the Chaos Storm down. It does zone Pawn and Deft up to the back of the fight, but both of them are super mobile. You see Deft come over right at the wall, just punch him in the face, takes him out. And then likewise, Pawn is now on the back part of the fight, just cleaning up.
Yep, plenty of mobility there for the Ezreal. Pawn's able to make sure he gets all those away, and Acorn finally going to get chased down. One last wallop.
Classic.
Oh, Deft gets caught out of the Valkyrie, pulverized and headbutted. 3v1 gets taunted, and Imp gets himself a nice free kill.
Now the question will be, can EDG get anything on the map? And the answer is no. So this is just going to be a free kill as well as a tower for LGD.
EDG going towards the top side, but cannot save this tower. Acorn going to tank it up to make sure Imp's able to get it. And right now, EDG don't respond fast enough, and that gold lead shrinks suddenly as Pawn is trimming the wave in the bottom side.
Trying to deny all of that CS as well as take the tower. It is fairly low, so we'll see if these creeps can take it down. GODV trying to get down there.
Yep, running. The out-of-breath Viktor needs to buy maybe some
I feel like
that was fun.
It needs to be more like Darth Vader.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. But nice heads-up ulti there from Pawn, able to get himself a tower. Get that gold lead a bit more up for EDG, so going to sit back towards that 2k mark. And Luden's Echo is now completed, so Pawn, he is at the first big power point for AP Ezreal.
Are you ready for your LPL fun fact?
Yes.
One of the, I believe, the actual first Ezreal player to use his ultimate like that to trim waves.
Wei Xiao.
Yes, it was Wei Xiao.
It was Wei Xiao.
Fun fact.
Yeah. Smart guy, and that was AD.
Oh, even better. And now we're going to tie it into EDG.
Okay.
Wei Xiao, World Elite attribute the first use of the slow push in a competitive game to their coach, Aaron, who is now the coach of EDG.
Yep. Him and Clear have worked together for quite a long time. Different teams.
Their entire careers?
Yes.
Yep.
As Pawn trims a bit more of a wave there in the top half at Acorn. Ready to meet the wave EDG pushed in. He'll be just fine. In fact, he's having a very happy time. Despite being behind CS Decoro, he is just eating up farm as it comes towards him as Deft and Mako trying to create a bit more pressure in the bottom.
The next biggest objective on the map for EDG is actually going to be that top tier tower, but they're expending a lot of their gold, momentum, and resources into the bottom side of the map, especially with Dragon not being on the table quite yet. So I'm not going to call it a... No, yeah, I am. It's waste gold. There's no reason to have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wards down there. You have to think each one's costing 75 gold and you're not utilizing that area at all. They need to move this vision up to the top side of the map. Dragon will be spawning in, 2 minutes, but they had a good window where they could have looked for that last objective. Now they're kind of stunted.
Yeah, minute 35 actually for that Dragon, so coming up relatively soon, but EDG going to try and run LGD out of the top half as Pawn. Pretty ridiculous damage. PWL will pop the ulti. Clearlove going to try and stop him. Baron has spawned recently. PWL going to eat the ulti, but that Aster ultimate just lasted long enough.
He's just unkillable. That said, with so many resources, I'm trying to push into the mid lane. Clearlove says, nope, not today.
Def says, yep, thanks for the CS, I'll take it. And now with Sork choosing that Trinity Force plus the Ludens on the Ezreal, EDG are in prime position to take this next Dragon.
And that's pretty much the core build of the Runeglaive Ezreal, is just the Ludens on the Runeglaive. You can go really any direction from here. I expect a Death Cap, possibly a Void Staff.
Maybe a Lich Bane down the line as well, but you're right. It only gets better for Runeglaive Ezreal.
I don't think he needs a Lich Bane with the Sheen from Runeglaive.
Oh, I don't know if that works actually. You'd be right. Never mind. My dreams have all been shattered. Too much twisted fate.
I mean, that said, though, I still stand firm on my call that EDG wasted a lot of their momentum and their lead in kind of the past 3 minutes of, playing to the bottom side of the map when it was really this objective that they wanted. Koro does end up picking it up, so good job, is now we're going to start to rotate our focus back towards that Dragon Pit that'll be spawning in 20 seconds, but kind of a fumble there.
Maybe. I mean, trusting Koro in... Given how good his lane was going, it's interesting.
It didn't punish them at all, but it stalled out the game. And when you have the lead, you want to push it and maximize your efficiency with it and not give the team any sort of breathing room.
Well, EDG now up 3,000 gold and primed to take their third Dragon, so things looking good right now, but Dragon just spawns. Shen can join in, Acorn's going back to base. Koro ready with his teleport and a good amount of rage. EDG going to start it up again, but Mako's getting chunked.
Yeah, has to be really careful. Koro is sitting in base. He does have the home guard available. He's looking for the flank teleport. The problem is that he doesn't have any rage, but here he comes.
Yeah, he just lost it waiting in base, but he'll come back down to zone them out and build up more of it. Throws out a boomerang. Dragon will go to EDG again. Those double smites helping out as Koro almost hops over the Spiderlings, but gets TBQ. Imp's going to force to ulti there. The spell shield's going to save him from Ezreal. Koro dives back in, gets a 3-man ulti, and they'll just keep going in. Koro tanking the tower, gets caught up by the gravity field, and he'll get popped back. The first kill actually goes to LGD.
Just massive AoE and control from GODV's Viktor right here. So Koro diving a little bit too deep, finds a nice Gnar ultimate, but doesn't find the chain CC on it, and his team just can't follow up.
That poke, though. I mean, we talk about Ezreal's poke being pretty good. Corki's is not bad either, and this is just a regular AD Corki, so you can see GODV there has to reconsider his positioning a little.
But this is kind of the win condition for EDG's composition. They have to make sure that they lay down the poke before they look for those hard engage ultimates. So bit of a miscommunication between them and Koro's intentions.
Yeah, I mean, Koro, really nice Nara ultimate, but no one could really follow up as GODV caught a bit out of position. Does not get punished for it, though. And EDG will hold their mid tower. Deft will go bottom to collect some farm. And most importantly, they got that third clean dragon. I
thought for sure Deft was going to look for the Valkyrie and try to make an outplay with this flash from the gravitational field, but doesn't risk it.
No, a little too risky. Instead, pops down to the bottom lane, gets his farm, and is well on his way to his second item, which looks to be Blade of the Room.
GODV trying to be really sneaky, hiding in the brush, waiting for Deft to approach. Doesn't have his Chaos Storm available, but all he needs to do is land a nice gravitational field.
Deft has all his summoners. I don't know if GODV really wants it. Instead, we'll just take the farm, which is a bit more appropriate. Acorn going to take a bit of damage as well. Pawn's only getting stronger. Got cooldown boots with the Alacrity enchantment completed now as well. But you could really see that GODV actually went for a pretty quick, perfect Hex Core. Really paid off in that last fight with all the utility.
Trying to be very, trying to be very cost efficient in his build, and likewise the big thing that the Hex Core is going to give you, like you said, is going to be the utility, because you have the evolution points to all of your abilities, specifically the gravitational field, which kind of turns it into a little bit of a pseudo shockwave. Obviously you're not doing damage, but it's going to pull everyone in.
Yeah, just a nice reposition on a pretty good stun and zone control ability. It's all good stuff there as EDG. Now playing to the top side of the map like you asked them to.
There we go. So the reason why you want to play to the top side of the map is because with the dragon down, you have a 6-minute window of opportunity where you can play to the top side. You're not sacrificing any sort of objective. Again, the next most important objective for EDG is going to be this mid-tier, second-tier tower. But what they're going to do is they're going to play pressure points between the two different waves, get them pushing deep ward and try to catch LGD out, which is what they're doing to TBQ.
Or just all in TBQ.
If they kill him here, it's Baron.
That's a Q, but PYL's coming in. Inf popped his ultimate. Koro's got a good rage build up. PYL though taking damage. TBQ getting low. Koro dives in. Looks for the Gnar. Kinda gets it, but Acorn is chasing out Deft. But Pawn is dishing out disgusting damage. Chases out GODV who flashes, but it's not quite enough. Q will miss. Laser is good, but it's not enough as the double kill comes in for Clearlove. And EDG, as that does get a kill, a 4-for-2 trade across the board.
The crazy skirmishes that are happening in the backline between GODV and Pawn, that was absurd. That said, what I was talking about is they're deep warding and they're waiting for LGD to make a mistake rotating in between their lanes. Likewise, they also have to be careful of the Baron. EDG were patient, they set a trap, they pick the jungler, and they get the Baron.
Acorn's here though, have to be careful. Good Valkyrie there from Deft, who's going to pop in some damage. Clearlove, good smite as Koro is going to fight Acorn. Fairly tanky is the old Shen, but I don't know if he can get away from this. Is forced to flash over. Koro will miss the wallop, but Deft just going to hunt him down. Clearlove running in. The boulder toss will hit, and Clearlove going to get another kill.
EDG in full control now opened this up close to a 7k gold lead at this point.
And we've seen what happens when EDG get their quick 25-minute Baron. The game usually ends within 5 to 10 minutes, and you know that this team's going to be looking to close it out quickly.
One of the most punishing teams of the Baron. That said, LGD, known for their wave clear, typically even trying to close against them is very difficult because they're very good at prepping, making sure that you don't just get a free push on them.
Really good side of it. TBQ dodges some poke. But Pawn now with the Void Staff, only gotten stronger here in this game. Baron buff helping out there as well. And that mid lane turret still a real thorn in LGD's side.
So I want to talk about that last team fight. Oh, perfect. Here we go. So you set up the trap. The thing that I want to talk about, though, is going to be this gravitational field. So Viktor gets involved. He's going to set up the gravitational field in a perfect choke point. There you go. It actually catches Koro as he goes into his Mega Gnar form. Does manage to lock up PYL. But look at the damage that Pawn is doing into the backline. This entire fight was saved on the back of Pawn. Not only was it a fantastic choke point that EDG were able to just kind of brute force to LGD, but it's because that Pawn was able to zone Viktor off of that fight, so they lost all of that big AoE damage to follow up on the CC.
Yep, and now they're straight down mid lane taking a turret, make it 4-2 now as EDG's gold lead keeps growing and growing.
Take the mid-tier tower, rotate to the bottom side.
Not the right spot to be standing in, gets jumped in. Clearlove's going to get his 8th kill of the game.
Deleted.
Yep, that was a deleted moment. I mean, it's funny, we didn't really talk about it, but Ezreal Corki, pretty good at taking out turrets, even though it is a AP Ezreal.
Obviously, the AP Ezreal's W is going to augment his team's attack speed to assist them in sieging. Likewise, the multiple Sheen procs with the Trinity Force as well as the Runeglaive, chipping away at towers.
And all that poke helping out as well. Thank you for
that. Get him!
Cluelove going to go in, dive to the backline. Acorn going to get interrupted. Can't hold the away from it as Mako going to dive in as well. PWL about to die through his ultimate as TBQ's the next one to get chased out. Alistar will fall though. Cluelove, another kill in this game as Deft is casually in the enemy base. Pawn survives on a couple hundred health, and EDG going to get another tower.
Just so much destruction. We talked about how, you know, Xiaogu, the tied for first place team against EDG, their manager said, you know, LGD, you have to be afraid. They're a very scary, very powerful team. EDG are just manhandling LGD right now on this map.
At least in game number 1, this gold lead has now grown to 10,000 plus. Flawless dragon control as well. All started off by a Pawn steal with the Ezreal ultimate. And this game looks almost unassailable for LGD. They're going to have to really work those side waves and batten down their hatches because EDG, they're coming to close out this game.
And this is the MO of EDG with their MSI starting roster lineup. We talked about how, you know, Pawn opens up the mid lane for ganks, even on something like an AP Ezreal with Smite. Doesn't even have an offensive summoner there to assist them. They still manage to get the early kill on GODV in the mid lane, which is already impressive. But even more important, their identity with Koro and just his flanking maneuvers in team fights, which is why Gnar is such a big champion for him, because obviously it empowers crazy CC and crazy engagement. So I mean, they've only played, what, 4 games together as the MSI roster since their win. They still look like the same team.
They do. And Koro, I agree, has just had a great game here. And important to note that I pointed it out maybe once or twice, but barely noticed it given all the action on the map. He's been 40 CS ahead of Acorn for most of this game. 20 to 40 CS up.
How's that Sunfire treating you? Helping you farm?
Not well enough, unfortunately, for Acorn, who's never gotten split pushing going.
This is also brilliant, too. With the AP Ezreal in particular, you know, using your ultimate globally to trim those waves and to kind of control, especially against a team like LGD who has such great side wave management because Acorn's there, likewise on top of having the Shen with the Sunfire, just kind of as like a soft counter, I guess, to them stylistically.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense for the way they like to play as EDG going to continue roaming through and trying to break that base. That's the one thing that's been missing since that last Baron got taken, but this tower is not safe, LGD.
And they cannot make a mistake here. We talked about how Xiaogu made the initial mistake against King on this very same tower. If you die here, it's an inhib.
Yeah, Koro rage filled up, looking to dive in. Crowded field down, but doesn't quite zone them away, and EDG has got a couple of pot shots under the turret. We've seen Deft rip through turrets time and time again all year long on EDG, and he's very skilled at just weaving in those empowered autos and taking out turrets.
Best case scenario for LGD here is that EDG just make a mistake and look for a dive, but that's, I mean, they're praying for the enemy team to make a mistake versus them making the ultimate correct play.
Yeah.
It's never a place that you want to be.
No. But it might be all the LGD have, as Acorn is actually doing a nice job trying to at least apply some pressure to another part of the map. Koro is actually called back. He hits his recall button, and that will force EDG off the siege in the top. Actually gets the turret as well. Acorn, nice little play there, just went ignored for a little too long.
That said, still 3 to 5 towers. Good play from LGD, again, understanding that we can't overcommit to this. We have to play the super safe, just clear the tower, wait for EDG to make a mistake, and that was best case scenario mistake for them.
Yep, I mean, also don't fight EDG.
Don't fight.
Given the current goal discrepancy, as Raptor will get taken by TBQ. Snipe attempted there from Deft, but unsuccessful as Pawn goes back and buys himself a death cap just to make sure that poke's a little bit stronger when they siege the next turret.
And likewise, across from Pawn, you have the itemization from GODV coming out, taking that Void staff fairly early to make sure that he still has an impact into this mid-game. So again, falling behind and having to change up his build path to make sure that he's irrelevant.
Yeah, we talked about Koro CS lead. Pawn's actually 70 CS.
Oh, that's sad.
APS's ultimate does a lot of damage. And Pawn showed it right there with a nice blue buff steal.
Likewise, he's level 18 comparatively to level 16.
If only he could smite from that far away. Actually, I guess he did. That's kind of what the ultimate was. As EDG is just going to go straight to Baron. LGD now have another buff to respond to as it's back up in 15 seconds.
You have to be careful that they're about to get flanked. This should be fairly obvious, but they have on the hunt to reposition.
Oh my god. Pawn is doing far too much damage. Like, far too much. We said it. I mean, this is Ezreal's pretty good on live right now, but this is super charged AP Runglaive Ezreal. And EDG are going to absolutely wreck this Baron.
Using the ultimate as not only damage to the only entrance into the Baron pit, but also as a vision tool to check where LGD were face checking to them.
I don't know about vision tool. I actually got me to about 60% health. So it was not the worst bit of poke to deter them off the Baron as Koro. Massive blanket, the 3-man ulti in. Completely caught out as Def going to get that kill. PYL the next one to fall as Corki gets the double. Now Acorn forced to flash out as TBQ and GODV are the next targets. TBQ takes a massive chunk of poke as Pawn is hunting people down. GODV trying to run away as TBQ's already died to Pawn. Clearlove gets his 10th kill of the game, and EDG get 4 kills.
And LGD were at half health pretty much across the board because Pawn nailed 5 members with his ultimate. This is the team that won MSI.
Why is Koro? Yep. Teleporting to the minion wave because LGD know that the game's about to end and surrender game 1 to EDG.
In a dominant and controlling fashion. From level 1, getting the first blood on TBQ, EDG never let up.
No. Planned it perfectly, read the lane swap, got the buff, punished the mistake, got
ganked the mid lane.
Ganked the mid lane. Pawn only needed 1 gank, but that 1 gank helped so much there. And all of a sudden, that AP Ezreal with the Runglaive, it takes time to get better. Needed 1 gank to get accelerated, and that was all EDG really needed, it seemed like.
Came back with the Shen, had the blue buff, just continued to abuse. And Pawn, you know, giving him the resources, making sure that he got the initial early ganks, got him through his lane phase. That team fight, forcing GODV out of there so early, turning that into a Baron for his team. Fantastic performance.
Yeah, and we haven't talked that much about like Viktor counters. I feel like 'cause we haven't seen that much. I guess that much Viktor recently because he's only really picked up in the last month or so. But if you have a medium range mage and you have a mage that's hyper long range like Runglaive Ezreal, I feel like it's a pretty good matchup for you once you get your items.
I mean, I don't want to call it a counter. I definitely think that there is, like you said, you know, you can play around it kind of like a Zir into Viktor. It's just, it's so oppressive in control. But again, it's just, you know, you have the options available. But it shouldn't have been there. You shouldn't be able to get an early lane advantage on Ezreal. You shouldn't be able to gank that as the jungler because if it turns into a 2v2. But we talked about, you know, where is LGD weak? It's in their jungle. And effectively, they got out-jungled from level 1.
Yep, EDG. Really nice game number 1 there. But don't go too far away. Game number 2 will be just back. We'll see if EDG can continue being just EDG.